But right now, one of the passes on. This happened, I think, last week at some point, maybe a couple of weeks ago. Ted Leonsis, when he speaks, it's always, it's important to pay attention. Whether it's good, bad, there's usually some news in there. But I thought this was really worth discussing. So it's a little bit of a longer clip. It's about 45 seconds, a few different delicious nuggets in there. Wanted to go through that. We'll pause it kind of as we go and react, Chris. But at your leisure, sir, go ahead and fire that bad boy.
Well, the Orioles I was interested in too, and they were bought by a friend, David Rubenstein. He's got great backers, but that's a small market. Who knows what happens in 5 years, 10 years? Maybe that becomes a part of us. It was very in to go to Europe and look at soccer.
So pause right there. So what he's talking about is, he's always been an advocate, as you know, of like the super city, of where like DC, Richmond, and Virginia, and Baltimore, it's all like kind of one metropolitan market. It's not yet, but in his mind, maybe it could be, whether it's with some sort of rapid fancy pants transit or something where we could all sort of be part of the same little information superhighway. He's talking about maybe being on Monumental Sports, maybe having them under that umbrella. That's something that we're interested in.
Yeah, sure. I don't.
Why'd your voice get up so high?
Because it's like, I know there's a group of people out there that feel like it would be the worst thing ever for everything to be under one umbrella. I am open to it. I see the positives of it. I see the negatives of it. But for the Orioles right now, like, what's their other option? For the Nats, like, what's their other option in terms of regional television?
Yeah, it's Masson, by the way.
Yeah.
Masson's trying to get their ducks in a row, clean up the house a little bit before it goes on sale. You know what I mean?
So, like, I feel like what Monumental has done, their game broadcasts are cool. I think where Masson may have them beat out, and this is kind of back in the day to current Monumental, is the programming that goes on daily during, like, right now, where there's not a game on. I think Monumental's kind of dropping the ball with their content there a little bit, but I don't think it's a bad thing.
No, well, at least they're trying.
Yes.
And it's not the programming that I would do, certainly, to your point, but I'm with you. The pregame, postgame stuff, I think, is pretty solid.
Yes.
Having lived in some other markets and seeing kind of what goes on, I'm with you. To me, what's missing is, and this isn't just Monumental, this is everywhere. This is Masson. We've hammered this a million times over. They don't really do a regular pre and post game. It's 15 minutes and sort of, fairly well. Thank you. The magazine type shows, the shoulder programming. That's kind of what we call it in our little entertainment world here.
Yes.
The things that should be really neat, kind of get to know you sort of stuff. I feel like it's a little bit too much like, this is what Nicholas Backstrom's dog does.
Yeah. Like,
this is, I don't know. I'm picking furniture out with Tom Wilson. Nothing wrong with that per se, but it's sort of not exactly what I'm looking for. But I understand it's expensive to put on a network where, what is it? I don't know. Out of 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you've got at most 12 hours that isn't a game broadcast.
Yeah.
That's expensive to be able to put nothing but original content on. So at least they're trying.
So the other thing that I feel like people have gripes with when it comes to like local regional coverage is it's biased. A lot of people feel like, and I know a lot of people were critical of, during this year when the Wizards were tanking and last year when they've been tanking, like, the commentary and Chris Miller and Drew Gooden do a tremendous job, but it sometimes felt like, it was homerish. And I think as a sports fan, and I can only speak for me, Michael, I don't want to speak for all of us fans once again, but I feel like for me, like, I want that unbiased, give it to me raw commentary. I don't need you to try and sugarcoat why, and I'm using Bub as an example just because Bub's a great guy. I don't need you to try to sugarcoat to me why Bub is shooting 22% from the three-point line in the month of December. Like, give me the analysis. Don't make it, like, biased. That's the only problem that I have kind of with regional networks and things of that nature. And back in the day, Comcast Sports, and I thought they did a really good job of that. When the Redskins then were terrible, they would tell you, like, hey, like, except for
but that wasn't in-house. That was a partnership.
Right.
And
that's different. That's different.
So, and I'm with you on that to a large degree. I mean, so I think with the Capitals, they call balls and strikes.
Yes.
Better than they do with the Wizards.
Yes.
And my frustration is because there's a million things to be frustrated about, but the lean into what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. Like it is really tough, I think, for a lot of fans and I don't blame any one person individually, but it's like on a given night, they lose by 40.
Yeah.
And it's a small highlight package. You're talking about the growth of Bilal Coulibaly, who finished with 8 on 3 for 12 shooting. And there's a couple nice moments that he has. I understand you can't just be like, yep, they got the doors blown off again, but we're rebuilding. I get you can't do that every night, but there's a happy medium there, I think, at various points. Whereas, and again, it's and there's no one person, but like celebrating a dunk like the Charlotte Hornets announcer when they're down by 36.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
It's
you
tough.
know, like so bias to me is okay. Like I grew up with Steve Buckhantz and Phil Chenier.
For sure.
Steve experienced what we're all experiencing.
Yeah.
When you had a 12-point lead and now it's down to 2 and the lead is 2. He's spitting that through his teeth because he can't freaking believe it.
Yeah.
How do you like that? I don't like
it's
it at
my
all,
favorite
Steve.
call, by the way,
of course it is.
him.
But like, and then but when it's good, it's dagger. It's all and it rises and falls. When it's always dagger to put you down 27, a lot of people will roll their eyes at that, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just a thought. But Chris, give me the second part of this clip here. This is the other part that I hadn't heard. I didn't know this. I thought this was very interesting. Go ahead.
I didn't play the game. How many games am I going to go to? The team we were looking at was outside of London, but I would buy the Nationals or the Orioles or DC United and put them onto one platform, put them on one network, have one big data set, have one CFO, have one HR department. That's what media and tech companies do. I could have been on the Redskins when they were up, and Dan Snyder beat me to it.
And pause there.
That's a bombshell.
Hello there.
One.
I didn't.
There's that said nugget. Wow. So let me show this first, Danny. So this gets interesting because it makes me think immediately, how much differently would the 2000s have gone for the Redskins if it was Ted Leonsis?
This is the question.
And as I sit here and I'm open, I'm honest and transparent about it, I know the scandals probably wouldn't have happened. For sure I know that because Ted's an upstanding citizen, a good dude. But as far as like the football product, not sure. Jury's still out. I would have to see it to assume that it would be good. Because when I look at the Caps and I look at the Wizards, for the Caps, like, you got lucky and you drafted Alex Ovechkin. Obviously, that takes more than luck. You had to scout him. For the Wizards, like, it's been tough for the entirety of my, 27 years of existence. So, I don't know. Jury's still out on, for me, in terms of him as a sports owner.
Yeah, so we are on, there's a song that's been recorded multiple times over by different artists. In the States, a very cheesy country band called Rascal Flatts recorded it. But the whole point is it's called Bless the Broken Road.
Okay.
It means we went through a bunch of stuff, but ultimately it landed with you.
Yeah.
Talking about like his spouse. But so that's the point of the song. We went through a broken road from Snyder buying this team to now to this place, which is a really good place. We're talking about that the first, half hour of the show. Plus, Jaden Daniels, Josh Harrison Company. We're here now, right? It's the Davey Martinez broken roads or bumpy roads into beautiful places.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have traded those years. I would have 1,000 times rather had Ted Leonsis and at least just no investigations.
Yeah.
At least no bingo callers, at least no swinging gates or the Monday Night Massacre, but we
telling coaches who to pick.
Yeah, but we signed out of the McNabb an extension. All that embarrassment.
Yeah.
I would have avoided the embarrassment. I would have taken that. But
Would
how
you have,
interesting
though?
is that? Yes.
Yes. Ted's the same guy that gave Brad Beal a no trade clause.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's good.
But there would have still been embarrassing moments, I feel like.
Well, but
it just would have been a scandal.
It's just regular sports. It's regular sports disagreement.
Regular sports stuff.
I will take regular. Having gone through what we've gone through, I will take regular sports disagreements.
I totally agree.
Because that's what we have now.
Right.
Right? Anyway, good conversation.